Hello and welcome back to the podcast that would definitely get drunk with the entire cast of The Village. Welcome back to another episode of the Love, Death and Movies podcast, Internet's #1 film breakdown and review show. The show that crushes the watch list week after week. Every month is a different genre, every week is a different film in that genre. So follow us and everything. Join us on the ride. Let's watch some movies. Alright, had a couple of trips there. I'm not going to deny it. It wasn't a perfect one, but I'm going to give myself an 8 out of 10. I think that's a decent. With me each and every week is, of course, Pride of the West Coast, Ash First Movies. Ash, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Nice.
Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. We're doing a double record, so we're actually doing this is a peek behind the curtains. We're doing next week's episode first. We just did that with a guest, so we did Trap first. Now we're going back for The Village. It's kind of hilarious. This is going to confuse me so much when we're talking about and next week, please watch Trap. Do watch Trap. But we are continuing our month with M. Night Shyamalan films, and it's a movie that I think is well loved. I think I would say, which is The Village, which was directed by M. Night in 2004, which we will get into. But Ash, even though I've already know, how's your week? How you doing?
Let's talk about what I've been watching instead, since we already talked about how I am, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I finally watched Stop Making Sense,
the
concert movie.
Heads, yeah.
And now I've been listening to the Talking Heads every day since, so I'm becoming insufferable, as you would imagine. So good. So good.
Nice.
I watched Titane.
Oh, what'd you think?
I don't know. That movie, I don't think I'm smart enough to maybe fully understand it. I didn't dislike it, but it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
So I'm still chewing on that one.
Chew away.
Yeah. Then I did some rewatches, Adventureland, Idiocracy. Those were both great time. Trap, The Village, and rewatched Hitman last night, Harry.
Go on.
Liked it less than I liked it the first. That movie, it's just not good. And I don't understand how it is so highly rated amongst so many people. Two Hot People does not a movie make good. Not for me.
That's so funny. Wow.
Apparently all movies are not good movies, even though all pie is good pie.
All pie is good pie. Wait, what's that off?
Hitman.
Oh, that's why I know it. All pie is good pie. But I feel like that's off someone else because I remember that line.
It might be stolen from something, but he says it like 3 times in the movie.
That might be what it is then. That's awesome.
That was my week of watches. What about you?
My week, well, I haven't watched anything this week. I watched Anora and then these two films. So Anora for this
great week then.
Yeah, it's a great week. But yeah, and they get back into watching movies, but I keep like starting movies and then not being able to finish them. So but I like mainly because they've been terrible. I tried to watch that Will Ferrell Amazon film.
I watched that. You're Cordially Invited.
That was I lasted 15 minutes. I was like, this is dog shit.
I watched it while I was working. I feel like that was like the perfect background movie. It wasn't very.
That might be how I have to do it then, because now that I've started it, I want to log it. Now that I've made the effort of starting it, so we'll see. Right. But yeah, now it brings us to now, which is we're talking about The Village, of course, with M. Night Shyamalan month, and that was directed by M. Night in 2004. Budget of $111 million. So my bad. In Trap, I think I said, it was 200 million. It wasn't 200 million. But the box office was 256 million. But 111 million, this is back when he didn't finance his own films. This was definitely financed from the studio. Quick synopsis is there is no turning back. When a willful young man tries to venture beyond his Pennsylvania hamlet, his actions set off a chain of chilling incidents that will alter the community forever. Ash, what do you think of The Village?
I really love this movie. Like I said, on the Trap podcast, which will come after this, confusing. I love this movie when I was like a young teenager. I was fascinated by it. I couldn't tell you what specifically about it then, but you watch movies when you're young and you don't actually fully know if they're good movies. And then you rewatch them and you're like, oh yeah, that holds up. That's a great movie. This is one of those for me. I hadn't rewatched it in forever. And I just found it to be such a beautiful, interesting story. I think especially around like this fear when you're isolated and how you can make a whole community, believe something out of just the fear of where they are in their lives and just kind of being away from everyone else. You can kind of create this whole environment that's sort of built on a lie, but it's out of love. It's not out of malice or anything like that. So it's just a very fascinating premise to me. And then the cast is so stacked. I mean, you got Bryce Dallas Howard, Adrian Brody, Joaquin Phoenix. I'm forgetting a couple of other, like, obviously,
Jesse Eisenberg is like
yeah, Jesse Eisenberg, minor
yeah,
role, but then you have fucking Sigourney
William Hurt.
Weaver, Bill Hunt. I mean, there's just so many fantastic actors. But yeah, I just think that it looks beautiful. It's Roger Deakins, I'm pretty sure, so that doesn't really
Yeah,
surprise me. But yeah, it just looks beautiful. The score is amazing. I think Tyler said it in his review that it kind of feels like a bedtime story. And when I saw that, I was like, that's a great way of putting it. Like, it really does feel like the score, at least, kind of wants to lull you to sleep, but not in a way that you're bored, but just in a way that it has this comforting nature to it. It's just a really special movie, and I think it's definitely going to be a favorite of mine from him for a long time. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
hell yeah. No, I love The Village. I think The Village is great. I've always loved The Village. I thought it was really cool. It's during that era of M Night where he's just known for his twists, and I think the twist works. I think the twist works here. I think it's cool. I was talking to a friend about this last night of horror, like what makes horror movies scary for me, and it's like when it comes to supernatural stuff, it doesn't, but when it comes to like cult shit, it does. Like because it's
Mhm.
kind of realistic, and that's what this is has that eerie tone that just makes me super unsettled when watching it. But you could tell that the all these different characters are amazing. By the way, this might be a hot take. Adrian Brody, better performance here than he did in The Brutalist. That might be a hot
I haven't
take.
seen The Brutalist yet, but yeah, he's fantastic in this movie.
He's great in this movie. I like The Brutalist. Really like The Brutalist. Do you deserve the Oscar? We can. This might be another day. You know
Yeah,
who did deserve an Oscar? Mikey
Maggie
Madison.
Madison.
Absolutely, absolutely, she did. But yeah, I think this movie is really cool. It's just, it's got so much sauce in it, and this whole like the backstory of like what this village is and like
Mhm.
why they're doing what they're doing, and like this whole like prophecies and stuff, and like this whole law of the land of like can't go past this boundary because of XYZ.
Mhm.
And I think is so sick. So yeah, I love basically everything about this movie. I think this movie is
Yeah.
fucking cool.
And one interesting thing too, just on your point there, like I I don't know for sure, but people talk a lot about how M. Night does a lot of like response to 9/11 movies. And as far as like the themes that are associated with what happens when there's a lot of fear in people's minds and what that can do to community. And I think this one especially does it really well because the idea that people would kind of have this bad stuff happen, right? Like all the adults, they go through their different versions of horrid events happening to people that they love, these different like murders or people dying in these horrific ways. And so their reaction to it is sort of like to isolate and like start something fresh and try to not kind of see the world for what it really is, which
Yeah,
is bad. There's bad people and they do bad things and bad shit happens all the time and you can't really escape it. So I think that's just fascinating. And I don't know if it's actually true that like a lot of his movies are reactions to that event, but obviously in the US, that was one of the biggest events that shifted society completely forever. So I think this movie captures the essence of something like that really in an interesting way. Obviously, it's totally not the same thing. I'm just saying the premise of this big like look into the world of what really can happen and like the
yeah,
the bad that really exists with human beings. I think the premise of that is just it's so fascinating to me, and I think this movie just Signs does a little bit too, but I think this one does it a little bit better.
that's a good point. I love that. Nice. Well, Ash, shall we?
Yes,
Let's. Oh, we should have got like yellow coats. That would be
that would have
cool.
been cool.
That would be cool. We'll do it in post. I don't know. Fun fact to start off. A couple of fun facts for you, Ash. I'm giving you two here. Director M. Night Shyamalan put the entire cast through a 19th century boot camp in order for them to get a good feel of the time period. I feel like it works because it feels like that sort of time period.
Mhm.
Another fun fact, Joaquin Phoenix made a wooden walking stick for Bryce Dallas Howard during the 19th century preparations the actors participated in before the film. He engraved the name of his character Ivy, her name, character Ivy, on the walking stick. So I think that's really adorable. I love this era of Joaquin Phoenix.
Mhm.
He's a bit of a weirdo now, but like there's nothing wrong with being a weirdo. But I love this. I love him in these two M Night movies. They're back to
He's
back,
so
Signs and
delicate. There's
yeah.
something different about him.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's unreal. But let's get into it. So Covington is a 19th century Pennsylvania village isolated from the world. The woods surrounding the village are off limits to all villagers because of monsters that reside in the jungle. Years earlier, the elders and the creatures reached an understanding that villagers would not go into the woods and the creatures would not enter the village. The monsters indicated their presence by howling sounds. Howling sounds coming from the jungle, and skinned carcasses of small animals thrown into the village from time to time. The kids of the village are taught that the monsters are meat eaters and have large claws. The village boundaries are with the jungle. The village's boundary with the jungle is marked by and lit at night by lampposts, which I think is like some of the coolest set design of all time. Despite numerous alarming incidences, the elders are clear that the boundaries have not been breached. Villagers wear cloaks of a safe colour, which is mustard yellow, while monsters wear cloaks of the red colour, which is the bad colour. Fun fact here, of course, M. Night Shyamalan initially had a different concept for those who we do not speak of creatures. They were originally conceived to be monsters similar to the rock drawings featured in the movie's trailer, similar to lions walking on their hind feet with completely shaggy manes. When the creatures were built to full scale and brought onto set, Shyamalan felt like the design made it completely unbelievable, and the creatures were quickly redesigned and more noticeably with the addition of the red cloak. One elder, August Nicholson, played by Brendan Gleeson, which shout out, love Brendan Gleeson, loses his son to an incurable disease. Another young man, Lucius Hunt, played by Joaquin Phoenix, asks for permission to go to the town to bring back medicine to cure the mental ailments of Noah Percy, which is Adrian Brody. His request is denied. The elders are very clear about not violating the rules of the village. The villagers live a very simple life, which is devoid of any technology of any kind. And another fun fact for you, I'm giving you so many. The role of Lucius Hunt was specifically written for Joaquin Phoenix. So, Ash, anything to kind of add on the beginning of this? Of just like, there's nothing really happening yet, but it's more just like this idea of the setting of the village.
Yeah, no, I think the movie sets up the tone really well. I think the landscape of like the village and just kind of saying how this community operates and how they all are mostly on the same page as far as their belief system and, their fears of what's kind of out there. I think it's very believable. Like the way that you would imagine a cult-like village kind of would act in this type of scenario. I feel like it's just set up really well. And obviously we don't meet Ivy at this point in the film yet. But I think you can get an idea that, Lucius is very like quiet and probably only speaks when he really has to. He's not someone who's loquacious. He's not going to be the talkative guy in the room.
Loquacious. What a
Big
word. What a word.
But yeah, I think you get to know a little bit of the characters and more just kind of setting the tone of what this village has gone through and kind of what is to come. I mean, I think you can kind of imagine that just with the little things we see, like the girl bearing the red flower. And, you're starting to, if you've never seen this film before, this little intro is kind of giving you little nuggets of what's to come as far as what it all means. Nice. So I think it does it nicely. And the score is just beautiful.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, the score's stunning, by the way. The score is stunning. Kitty Walker, played by Judy Greer, wants to marry Lucius, but Lucius is friends with Kitty's blind sister, Ivy, played by Bryce Dallas Howard. Which shout out Bryce Dallas Howard.
Fucking amazing.
She's unreal. She can do whatever the fuck she wants, by the way.
She's like a Nepo baby, so I feel like people give her a hard time, but she can definitely stand on her own. Like she's
a great actress, but she's a brilliant director as well. She does a lot of Star Wars stuff, which is really cool. Ivy says that Lucius has a color around him. That she says that she can sense. Ivy says that she knows that Lucius has feelings for her ever since the day they were both kids. Noah brings berries that grow only in the woods. Noah is Adrian Brody. Lucius believes that if creatures have not harmed Noah, presumably because of his innocence, they won't harm him too. So Lucius's mother, which is Alice, played by Sigourney Weaver, which I found kind of weird that Sigourney Weaver was the mother of Joaquin Phoenix. I didn't believe the age difference there. But
I don't love her in this like I do in most things she's in. She doesn't bother me, but I don't feel like there's just not much going on there, I guess, with her character.
Yeah, maybe. maybe. But yeah. So Lucius's mother Alice, is Sigourney Weaver, is an elder and asks him to refrain. But Lucius wants her to open a big black box that every elder has and contains secrets from the past before they became elders. So fun fact here is M Night Shyamalan cast Bryce Dallas Howard without an audition, but just he saw her perform on stage and goes, "Yep, you're in." Lucius enters the woods on a patrol and returns. The night creatures enter the village, and Lucius saves Ivy from being attacked, which is a sick scene, by the way.
Yes. And he
Sick.
grabs her hand and closes the door in slow-mo.
It's so romantic. We love it. Lucius admits to his mistake in the town hall meeting, but the elders forgive him for his transgressions. The creature's actions grow more desperate, but they haven't hurt anyone yet. The villagers send meat tributes to the monsters left at the edge of the jungle for their consumption. The villagers are interviewed one by one by the elders to ascertain their versions of the monsters and to determine truth from exaggeration. So Ash, I know you're like, I want another fun fact. Got one for you. It took the crew 11 weeks to build the set at the village, and there were nearly 300 people in the scenic and construction department alone. Wow. So that's where the majority of the budget kind of went, I bet.
Yeah, set design and the actors for sure.
I wonder what they did with it after. Either way, Lucius and Ivy decide to marry, but Noah this scene is haunting. But Noah stabs Lucius and is locked away. The way that that shot is filmed is so goddamn good, where it's just silent, like all score goes and silence. He looks down and he's like him like dancing around him and like stabbing him again. I think is just haunting. Ivy wants to go to the towns to bring back medicine to save Lucius. Her father Edwards, which is played by William Hurt, takes her aside in front of the elders. Many elders do not agree with Edwards' decision. Takes her side in front of the elders. Not many of the elders do not agree with Edward's decision. It reminds him that he has also taken an oath to renounce the outside world. Before Ivy leaves, Edwards tells a story about his wealthy father's murder. Edward feels that his father was murdered because he stayed in the village and would have survived if he had left when he had the time. He then admits the creatures are actually the elders disguised as the monsters to perpetuate the legend so that they can scare and deter younger members from leaving. Edwards claims that the creatures in the woods are modeled on the ones the history books he used to teach when he was in the towns. The skinned carcasses were thrown into the village by the elders who took turns. Edward says that every elder in the village has experienced a loss so deep in their life that they question their own life. He believes that by denying Ivy the chance to save Lucius, the elders will subject her to the same pain that they themselves escaped from. Edwards gives Ivy some money to buy the medicine and kind of sends her on her way. So this is kind of like, it's kind of early. This is like midway through the film. It's about midway because she's about to go out. Midway to the end. You know what I mean? This twist of like there's no monsters, it is the elders and they're all dressing up and it's like for them to kind of because the whole how I took this is that fear controls people.
Yeah.
And that's how they're keeping this whole village in check is by basically being like there's bigger evils outside the world and we're keeping you safe. That's how I kind of got it. But like, what did you think of this twist?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I knew the twist after I've watched this years and years ago.
Yeah.
So I knew it going into this rewatch, but for me, like, yes, this is a movie where the twist like is a big part of it, but at the same time, I don't think that it takes away from the movie if you know the twist, in my personal opinion. And I think it's an interesting one.
No.
I like this twist. I think it makes sense that it's not a real creature. And I think you can kind of tell, once you're kind of like watching it with the cloak and it feels like it's someone dressed up. It's almost like in Saw, how they wear like the red drape and the pig head. Like it feels very much like a costume. It doesn't feel like a real creature. But I think the way that like the movie tells the story when the dad is going through the whole thing with her, I think that is like done really well. To me, that's more interesting than just it's the elders, we're trying to keep you scared. Like he's going into the context and the why. And it makes sense to me. Like parents do everything out of fear. I'm not a parent, but I've been around, many parents. I have many nieces. Like when you have a child or anyone you have to take care of a community, you're going to have a lot of fear. So that's going to make you do things. And I think in this case, it's a very drastic measure, but considering these people went through all this grief and all this horrific stuff happening in their mind, they thought, well, if we keep them here secluded with us, we can control what they know, what they do, keep them safe, keep us from losing more people. But what I think they learn by the time, he lets Ivy go is that, like, you can't shelter the ones you love and your children from the hurt in the world, because she's in love and she's experiencing heartbreak through this man she loves being hurt and wanting to save him. So I think it's like a big pivotal moment for like them too, like as a father-daughter relationship. I think for him as a father, just like learning that maybe his methods weren't exactly correct. But there was love in the approach. I don't think it was done with any malice in mind. Obviously, they were trying to protect them, but I think it's a really interesting premise because it makes sense to me that like the most elder, knowledgeable, like longest on this earth people would kind of want to control this environment that they've created. So it makes sense to me, the twist, but I get that a lot of people don't like it or they think it's predictable or whatever. I don't care. I don't watch M. Night movies just for some big twist. Like, I don't really get that whole thing of being like upset if you guess the twist. I've never really been that person. So for me, I think it works.
I agree. I think that even if you know the twist, it kind of like I was saying in our, I will say in our trap episode, when talking about Sixth Sense, that even though you know the twist, I kind of, because I rewatched it like a couple months ago, and just seeing the breadcrumbs for it leading up to it, I think is just as enjoyable. Like knowing the twist and like seeing how the townsfolk act around it, you kind of get like the reason for it, which I think is all about control and like protection and control, which is what I took away from it. So I agree. Like even though I knew the twist, it didn't take away from me at all. And I think that like if you guess a twist in the film and that makes the film bad, then I know, go suck a rock. Like it that's like a really shitty take on movies, to be honest.
People have just gotten way too obsessed with like specific directors, him being one of them, having this big thing in their movie to where they kind of hyper focus on it. But I've noticed through rewatching a lot of his movies that like it's all about the context around the twist and like what that is trying to say, like the messaging. You know what I mean? It's not really about the twist. It's more about what happens after and what it kind of means for the characters. So, I don't know. I think it's a really interesting one. I think the whole idea of this movie is interesting. I think it's just, like I said before, fascinating concept. And I think that scene with her and her dad and like Bryce Dallas Howard and Bill Hunt, I think they act it perfectly. I think they're super believable as a father-daughter relationship. And I really think this movie is probably the most romantic M. Night's ever been. And I think this idea of this love story between her and Lucius, and then both kind of being on the outside of society. They're both a little bit different than, she's obviously got her disability of being blind, and she kind of has this attitude of like, she's independent and she doesn't need help and she's not afraid of things. Sometimes when you can't see the world, you're less afraid of it. You know what I mean? And then he's obviously doesn't say a lot, but she can read him and he can kind of read her. Like, I think it's a very sweet relationship. When she like is trying to figure out if he's alive and she's like, I can't see his color. Oh, that just broke me. I thought that was so sad.
That's great. That's great. Let's continue, Ash. Edwards then goes and explains his actions to the other elders and says that the elders won't live forever, and Ivy and Lucius will keep their legacy alive. Ivy embarks on her journey. She's provided with 2 escorts who soon abandon her at the first sign of danger. The escorts are argued that if the monsters attack, they would kill the boys first, rather than attacking a blind girl, and is attacked by a creature. She knows that it's not real. It is Noah in a costume. When she reached a field full of red berries, she tricks him into falling into a ditch that she encountered on her way into the jungle, which kills him as well, which is kind of brutal. Ivy soon finds herself come to a large wall. Carefully, she begins to climb over, and as she does, several village elders open their locked black boxes back in the village, which contain mementos of their past life. It soon becomes apparent that Covington only has the appearance of being in 19th century. The actual time is present day, which again is another twist. But I feel like that wasn't like we kind of understood, because I felt this was kind of like an Amish society It's like
Yeah,
having.
it felt very much like it was modern time, but they didn't know any different because they were being raised in
I
this
feel like they
environment.
knew it, especially with him giving money as well, like money to the daughter. Is like
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't think that's a twist. The village of the Covington came from the idea by Edward Walker. After his father was murdered by a business partner, Walker joined a support group for others who have lost their loved ones to violence to start a small, isolated village to insulate the members of the group from further harm or loss. Walker's father was very wealthy, and Edwards had the village built deep in the interior of the Walker Wildlife Preserve. A large wall surrounded the preserve, and the precautions have been are made to keep aeroplanes from flying overhead, as well as to keep up the illusion of the village being rural and a rustic place. Ivy is we're close towards the end, so I'll stop there. Anything to kind of add there, Ash, of like the whole idea of what the village was made for, and it's like kind of it is control and protection,
Mhm.
and it's grief. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think again, like I said, all of this stems back to fear. I think that's the number one thing. They were fearful of what they were seeing in their reality, and they thought that this controlled environment would protect the ones that they love and anything that comes, after in their life after losing people in a horrific way. So, no, yeah, I think it's all just set up really nicely and revealed at a very nice pace. And I love that, like at the beginning, you don't really know what's in the black boxes, and you assume it's like something really weird, or like you don't assume it's just going to be like a photo of like all of them at
yeah,
a grief counseling like group. So I think in that way, it kind of brings it back to reality. Like you said, it's modern day, and that kind of makes sense. But throughout the movie, it's like this big, what's going to be in the box, which I think is interesting. But as far as like Bryce Dallas Howard going off into the woods, obviously, see, I took her hearing something out there as I didn't take it as her knowing it was Noah. I took that as her father mentioned, like, yeah, there were creatures in the books I used to teach about. So she's maybe thinking, maybe there is something out here. I can't see it, but maybe there's some sort of creature. Because her reactions to me felt very much like actual terror,
yeah,
not it's just Noah in a costume
yeah.
messing around.
She
I
couldn't
think that
have
was more for
known.
the
She could have
audience to
known.
know. That's how I took it.
Nah. She but like, yeah. I know. I think he showed her that the monsters weren't real, just to kind of alleviate some fear for her. When,
No, he did, but he mentioned before she left that he did teach about creatures, that do exist. So to me, I at least thought
right.
that meant like she didn't think it was specifically someone in the red cloak with the spikes and all that, but she thought it was some sort of
Yeah.
threat, I guess, is the way that I took that. Because it did seem like she had genuine terror, but maybe if she did know it was Noah, she was just afraid because she knows what he's capable of. So either way, it kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that she's fantastic in this movie in general, but I love these scenes where she's by herself and the idea of being a blind person alone in the woods and navigating that. And um, I just think it's really powerful. And I think she's a really badass character. And I really enjoy the character of Ivy. And I think this chunk of the movie is just really well done.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, Ivy, as he's saying, is startled by vehicles and strange noises, but is greeted by the kindness by strangers who help her get medicine. Specifically, this man. The man gets her the medicine and helps her climb back over the wall, which I think is really cool. How he's just like, where do we keep the ladder? I think it's really cool. And that's where we get the
Hmm.
M. Night cameo as being in one of the other security guards of this
Yep.
wildlife preserve. Edwards believes that Ivy's encounter with the creature must have made her believe that the creatures do exist. Nice. And that Edward's pep talk was just to make her get the courage for her perilous journey. So she believes, at least that's what I took from it, she believes that that creature does exist.
Hmm.
The elders gather around Lucius's bed after learning that Ivy has returned and that the monster was killed. I love when that scene's so good, where Jesse Eisenberg comes back and goes, "Ivy's back. She was attacked by a monster, but she killed it." You just see the
Aaron.
mother and mother just break down of Adrian Brody. I think that was a really good scene. Edwards comforts Noah's grieving parents by saying that his death will enable them to continue the fast that creatures inhabit the woods, or if they that is if they want to continue this fast, and that kind of like leaves that lingering question. So fun fact here, the film was originally called The Woods, but another film from MGM, known as The Woods, which was released in 2006, was already scheduled by using that name, so the title had to be changed, and it was changed to The Village, which I believe is way better. Way
Hmm.
better title.
Yeah.
So that is The Village. Ash, what do you think of The Village? Give me a score and final thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I've already been saying a lot, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet. But yeah, I
That's what we
just really
do.
love this
We
movie.
talk on the podcast.
Yeah, that is a podcast. I guess you're supposed to talk, right?
Yeah.
But no, I just think that this is one of the best ensemble casts that he's had. I think that the premise is just so interesting to me, and I think it's executed really beautifully. And like I said already, really romantically. I think it's something we don't always get in an M. Night film. So I personally, it works really well for me. Um, yeah, there's some really powerful like moments in this movie. I even think like little moments along the way, like when he's showing all of the different groups of people hiding under their houses, that fear in their eyes, like it makes you feel things. Like this movie makes you kind of like it makes you think about the world and the way that certain groups of people do get isolated into believing things, that aren't really true. It's just such a deep layered movie that has a lot to say about society, which I think is really interesting.
Absolutely.
Um, and then, yeah, the ending being so beautiful. I love that this whole idea, that the dad and the elders had is that, the outside world was so dangerous and bad. But then, Ivy gets there and this first person she meets wants to genuinely help her. And he even sneaks in to steal the medicine to help her. He doesn't ask questions. He's not judging her from, where she came from, why she's dressed that way. He just helps her. And I think that moment is kind of to represent that, in a world full of, bad, there is those glimmers of good. And she gets to see that and go back and save the man she loves and hopefully have, this life that she wants to have with him. So I think the fact that she was willing to risk her life to save him is one of the most romantic things you can do. So I think it's beautiful. I give it like a high 4, but I can easily see this one going up on rewatch for me. It's like I said, it's my favorite. Spoiler for next week.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I love this movie. This movie's great. It has so much source. I just love how like disconnected from society it is. It's just like a really original setting, original characters, and everything like that. I thought the set design alone makes this movie like awesome. Yeah, I think this movie just has so much sauce. I love Joaquin Phoenix, but I adore Bryce Dallas Howard in this film. I think she's awesome. I give it a high 4 as well. 4 out of 5. So we're
Nice.
both on 4 out of 5s. There we go. Nice.
Yeah.
That is The Village. But before we go, we do have a little game. Of course, we're going to do a little draft. And this movie came out in 2004. So we're doing best movies of 2004. How many do you want to do, Ash? There's a lot of movies. Do you want to do 10? Do you want to do 7?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
10?
Sure.
Fuck yeah. I did a random name generator and, well, I got first pick.
Oh, okay.
But because there's 2 of us, we're just going to be like me, you, me, you, me, you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. My first pick, I'm going to go with Shaun of the Dead. It is one of my favorite comedies of all time. And I feel like that needed to go first.
Absolutely. I mean, you did dress up as it for Halloween, so I think you deserve it.
Yeah, I love Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead's one of my, all time, one of my favorite movies.
It is up there for me as well, but I'm going to pick my favorite movie from this year. Absolute banger, 5 stars, perfect film, and that is Shrek 2.
Fuck yeah.
Best
That was my
sequel ever
next,
made.
that was probably going to be my next pick. So well done.
The movie's just, it does not get enough credit for how amazing it is.
It doesn't. If I don't pick this now, I feel like you're going to steal it from me just for spite. I'm going to pick National Treasure. Because I feel like you're going to, I know the way you work.
Okay.
National Treasure is like it might be the greatest movie of all time. Yeah,
It might be.
Jury's still out.
So, Jinx.
Uh,
Okay. I'm going to take one of the best screenplays and one of the best walk and talk movies ever made, and that is
right.
Before Sunset.
Say again?
Before Sunset?
Before Sunset, yeah. Sorry. My internet cut out for like
okay.
half a second, and all I heard was, and that film is it. And I was like, because I'd already started writing Before Sunset when you were talking about it. Awesome. Okay, and this is where it starts. This is where it fucking starts. All right, I'm going to go with one of the best superhero films of all time with Spider-Man 2.
Yep. Okay.
This is a good year of movies.
It really is. I'm just like looking at this list and I'm just like banger, banger, banger. I'll go with another banger and take Harry Potter and
Damn
the
it.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Damn
Not
it.
my personal favorite, but it's up there.
I'm the same with you. No worries.
I have to do a Harry Potter month at some point.
I can't believe this is the 7th film picked. For my pick number 4, I'm going to go Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
It's not anything against the movie. We were getting all the fun ones out of the way.
Yeah. No, I'm just more saying, like, it's such a great movie. It just shows
Oh
how
yeah,
stacked that year is.
absolutely. Okay, let's see. What do I want to go with next? How about
iRobot's still on the board.
I'll go with the classic and I'll take Mean Girls.
Yeah, nice work. Oh, I'm gonna take one that you're gonna want, by the way. And it's not. No spite over here. We come in peace. For number 5, I'm going Dodgeball.
Great fucking movie.
Great fucking movie.
I love that movie so much. I just rewatched that not that long ago.
Yeah. Wait, have I shown you the thing that my friends got made for me?
I thought you did, but now I'm blanking.
Right, one sec. Stall. I'll get it.
All right. Well, we'd love to know what your guys' favorite movies are from 2004. So please let us know in the comments because I feel like we're going to definitely draft probably all the best ones, the ones that matter most. Oh my God, yes, I do remember now what you're about to show me. I do remember this. Harry's about to show. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. But
So this is hung right above my toilet. So whenever someone
oh
goes
my
in my
God.
toilet, they see
Stop.
they got it made, and it's me.
I remember you showing this to me.
And it's actually a photo because it's a
You posed
metaphor.
for it, right?
It's a metaphor, but it actually happened.
Right.
Yeah,
That's amazing. You have good friends.
I do. I do have good friends.
Love that.
Your pick
Okay.
5.
Oh, let's go with Howl's Moving Castle.
No,
I love
good. That was my next pick. Good work. Nice work. Okay. This is where we get. This is where we start. You know.
that. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Kill Bill Volume 2.
Okay.
Not as good as Kill Bill Volume 1, but still good.
Yeah, it's like one of my lower Tarantinos, but that's still a 4 stars, which
Yeah.
that just speaks to how much I love his movies. But nice. Okay, I gotta get Napoleon Dynamite on there.
Damn, yeah, well done.
I'm a Napoleon Dynamite stan always.
Oh yeah, you're in good company here, mate. I could go that route. I could go. All right. Oh, holy shit! Oh, I didn't know this was 2004. I'm getting Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Wait, really? Is it?
Yep.
Oh, it is. Well, shit. I'm actually not like as big of an Anchorman person as
I'm okay with that being 7th round. Like I'm not unhappy
Yeah.
with that being.
Adam is a big fan, but not like it's like a 3.5 for me. It's like it's fun, but it's not my favorite comedy.
Gotcha.
Let's see. There's even just like some fun like guilty pleasure picks from this year, like things like Scooby-Doo 2, White Chicks,
Hell
like
yeah,
Along
hell
Came
yeah.
Polly. Not
Oh
gonna pick
my
it.
god! I know my next pick.
I'm going to take one of my favorite horror films. I'll take Saw.
Oh, good pick. Yeah, I had that in one of my next. I'm taking one of the best animated movies of all time. I'm going The Incredibles.
I was already writing it down.
Thank you.
All right. It's a good one.
It's great because I know what I'm going to pick last because you haven't seen it. So I was going to pick my next one. Oh, I know my next one. Oh, I know my next one.
I think I will actually. I think I'm going to take The Village.
Do it. Fuck yeah.
It's up there for me.
Oh, shit. No, I don't know which one I'm going to take now. Oh, now I'm picking between two. That or what was the other one? I've already got comedy, so I don't really need that. I'm going to go with The Bourne Supremacy.
Okay.
Yeah, I second guess myself.
All right. 2 left.
Oh, whoops. That's your one.
Well, I think at this rate, I'm just going to finish it off with some classic me picks. It wouldn't be 2004 without 13 going on 30.
Yeah. We call that movie's called Suddenly 30 now.
Oh,
Australia.
really?
Yeah.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
Suddenly 30. Better. It's a better name.
No.
You know? Mrs. Sorcerer's Stone. Jesus. It's called Philosopher's Stone. Number 10 for me is Collateral.
I thought. Oh, did I have too many for you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah. I wrote one too many lines. Okay. Collateral. I'll know more in a few weeks.
Well, you're gonna love Collateral.
I'm sure.
It's just a great movie.
Nice. That's a nice solid list. Okay, my final one. This is tough. There's so many like just fun picks that I just adore that I would love to take. But in honor of Michelle Trachtenberg, rest in peace, I'm gonna take Euro Trip, which is forever a
Yeah.
guilty pleasure for me.
The ones that I was contemplating between was 50 First Dates.
Hmm.
And the other one that I was like, oh, I'll take that is Hellboy. But then I saw Born
Okay.
Supremacy, and I'm like, I fucking love
Yeah.
Born Supremacy. Oh, Shark Tale, we fucked up.
Yeah, Shark Tale, The Machinist, which is like it's fine, it's good. Princess Diaries 2,
Man
Million
on,
Dollar Baby,
Man on Fire,
Christmas
Day After
Train.
Tomorrow. Oh, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yeah, The Girl Next Door, Team America,
Wimbledon.
movie called Saved that I think is absolutely hilarious that you should definitely watch if you have not seen it.
Oh, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, we fucked up.
I don't know if I've seen that actually, weirdly enough.
Wow. Starsky and Hutch.
We also missed out on, the wonderful Disney movie Halloween Town High. Apparently came out that
Alien
year.
vs. Predator. Van Helsing. The
The
Punisher.
Butterfly Effect.
Blade 3. Blade Trinity.
Remember the Lemony Snicket's A Series of
Oh,
Unfortunate
yeah.
Events movie with Jim Carrey?
Remember
Like,
Stepford Wives? Remember Troy?
yeah,
Jesus, this was a
with,
banger of a year.
yeah, crazy year.
Oh,
Do you want to recap it or you got the list?
yeah, I got it. We fucked up.
What did we miss?
We miss White Chicks.
I mentioned it. I said guilty pleasure movies like White Chicks
Oh,
and
right.
Long King Polly.
My bad. Awesome. All right, so I did Shaun of the Dead, National Treasure, Spider-Man 2, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, Dodgeball, Kill Bill Volume 2, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, The Incredibles, The Bourne Supremacy, and Collateral. Ash vs. Movies did Shrek 2, great pick. Before Sunset, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Mean Girls, Howl's Moving Castle, Napoleon Dynamite, Saw, The Village, 13 Going on 30, also known as Suddenly 30, and Euro Trip. Well
Perfect
done.
list.
That's great. Nice. Well, next week, please watch Trap, which we'll be doing a podcast for. So we'll watch Trap. That'll be our last film for M. Night Shyamalan, and then we're going to be getting into something fun for the month after. So, I don't know. Keep locked. But until next time, I'm Harry. That's Ash. Love death movies. We'll see you in the movies.